rising to be one of the biggest stars in Britain. But his fall was even greater.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're examining our picks for the most shocking cases of famous personalities who had worked on ITV programs at some point in their careers and committed terrible crimes. We'll explore their history with the broadcaster and their legal issues.
With catchphrases and cartoons on children's TV, Rolf Harris was once considered family-friendly entertainment.
David Dickinson. Today, this Bobby Dazzler is known as a national treasure with stints on BBC's Bargain Hunt and ITV's Dickinson's Real Deal.
It's a good job I'm here, because otherwise our dealers would get away with murder.
But long before he became the Duke of Daytime Antiquing, Dickinson led a very different life. In 1961, when he was 19, he worked for Deansgate Mail Order in Manchester. However, Dickinson was purchasing goods on credit and then putting that cash back into the business to improve its credit rating.
I got involved in fraudulent type activities. And got sent to prison.
He was arrested and found guilty of mail order fraud, receiving a sentence of 4 years in prison. Dickinson was released after serving 3 years and soon began his antique legacy.
That put the fear of God into me. I didn't want any more of that.
Luke Tittenser. In 2003, Emmerdale introduced Daz Eden to the Dales. Portrayed by Tittenser, Daz was immediately known for his criminal activity, something the actor would later share with the character. In 2009, Tittenser was driving a car with passengers when they passed a group waiting for a taxi. An unknown person from the vehicle threw a drink at the group. Later, the car returned and people got out, including Tittenser.
Everything that's happened is all your fault.
The actor then attacked a 16-year-old, leaving them with injuries severe enough to need surgery. After admitting to grievous bodily harm, Tittenser was sacked by Emmerdale. He was handed a 9-month suspended sentence, told to complete 200 hours of unpaid work, and had to pay the victim £1,000 in compensation.
No, it was all wrong. I don't know what was going on in my head.
Katie Hopkins. Despite saying a lot of controversial things, Hopkins still managed to carve out a career as a commentator on ITV shows like This Morning. Over the years, she's faced several lawsuits over her behaviour.
I tend to think children that have intelligent names tend to have fairly intelligent parents.
But nothing got her into trouble with the authorities until 2021. While in a hotel in Sydney, Australia, she was set to appear in the country's Big Brother VIP show. Hopkins bragged on social media about breaking COVID-19 regulations.
You will know that I have always called lockdown the greatest hoax in human history.
With Australians who had followed the rules livid at her, the authorities moved quickly. Hopkins had her visa cancelled and was fined $1,000 Australian dollars. She was then escorted by the police to the airport to be deported.
It's really bizarre.
Bruno Langley. From 2001, Langley starred in Coronation Street as Todd Grimshaw. He soon left his mark on the soap's history by becoming the couple's first gay character. Beyond taking time off here and there, Langley had the role until 2017, when his life was struck by scandal. That year, he was charged with 2 counts of sexual assault. After internally investigating, Coronation Street sacked Langley, and the role of Todd was later recast with Gareth Pearce.
Todd.
In the flesh and the spirit.
After Langley pleaded guilty to the charges, he was sentenced to a 12-month community order, including 40 days of rehabilitation activity. He also had to follow a curfew, pay both victims £250 each, and sign the sex offender register for 5 years.
Do you want to know why I'm so messed up?
And McPartland. As one half of the most successful presenting double act in UK history with Ant and Dec, McPartland has had a long career on ITV, working on shows like Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway and I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Not me. Not me.
However, that reputation took a battering in 2018 when he was arrested for crashing whilst driving under the influence in London. 2 other cars were involved and several people had to be treated for minor injuries. McPartland, who stepped down from his ITV work during the case, pleaded guilty to drink driving.
I just want to say I'm truly sorry for what happened.
He was banned for 20 months from driving and was fined a record-breaking £86,000. After taking time off, McPartland returned to TV with Deck and continued his career. Cheryl. Before she was a solo singer and judge on ITV's The X Factor, Cheryl was part of the popular girl band Girls Aloud, which formed after taking part in pop stars The Rivals. However, shortly before they'd released their first album, she nearly caused the group's downfall. In 2003, Cheryl attacked nightclub attendant Sophie Amagbogpa at a venue in Guildford, Surrey. While the original charge of racially aggravated assault was dismissed by the jury, they did find her guilty of assault occasioning actual bodily harm. Cheryl was sentenced to 120 hours of community service and had to pay Amagbogpa £500 on top of £3,000 in prosecution costs.
Without the support of the girls, I don't think I would have got through it.
In 2018, the singer drew ire after describing questions about the conviction as boring and irrelevant. Fred Talbert. Before he became a fixture of daytime TV with his floating weather map on This Morning, Talbert was a teacher until 1984, when he abruptly left, something that would later come back to haunt him.
So put the cream on, be careful.
In 2015, Talbot was taken to court after several abuse claims when he worked at Altrincham Grammar School. He was found guilty of 2 of the 10 charges and sentenced to 5 years in jail. Then, in 2016, the disgraced reporter was back in court again. Talbot was found guilty of 7 charges of indecent assault and sentenced to 4 years. Another 8 months were added to his sentence after a further incident he admitted to. Talbot was released from jail in 2019. Peter Rowell. During his heyday, Rowell was one of the leading faces of regional journalism as a reporter at ITV West Country. With a rising stash of goodwill, he was invited to turn on town's Christmas lights in the area.
So this year, I'm not only going to get to see it, but actually do it.
However, in 2011, Rowell vanished before turning up for work at BBC Radio Bristol. Those fears of concern were soon dissipated when he was found, and the real reason he disappeared came to light. Rowell was charged with many counts of assault and possessing indecent images of underage people. In 2012, after admitting to 12 indecents of assault and 7 counts of creating and owning indecent images, Rowell was sentenced to 6 years in jail.
Rowell pleaded guilty to 12 charges of indecent assault between 1989 and 1995.
Stuart Hall, best known for his work on It's a Knockout, which was briefly shown on ITV, Hall was also a part of the channel's news service, Granada Reports.
It's wonderful.
In 2012, the fallout of the Jimmy Savile case, allegations about Hall's historic abuse came to light. In 2013, he admitted to 14 counts of abuse against girls. After originally being sentenced to 15 months, it was appealed and was doubled to 30 months. In 2014, Hall was then found guilty of 2 more counts of assault and received an additional 2.5 years in prison.
Hall now won't be eligible for parole until next year at the earliest.
He was released in 2015 after serving half his sentence. Not content with his already tarnished reputation, in 2016, Hall criticised his victims, calling them vindictive, malicious people.
The allegations are pernicious and callous.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Rolf Harris. All the way back in 1955, Harris became the first entertainer to work for BBC and ITV programming simultaneously. The musician, artist, and performer would go on to host other ITV projects, such as Rolf's Cartoon Club.
It's Rolf's Cartoon Club! You can join today!
However, the Australian expat's legacy was forever destroyed when he was arrested as part of Operation U-Tree. In 2014, Harris was found guilty of 12 counts of indecent assault. In total, he was sentenced to 5 years and 9 months in jail. He initially appealed, but that was rejected. In 2017, he was back in court for further charges. After he was acquitted in the first trial, the retrial jury couldn't reach a verdict. Soon after, Harris was released from jail and he died in 2023.
When Rolf Harris was sentenced, the judge told him that he had no one else to blame but himself. But Harris never did show any remorse.
Who do you think was the worst criminal that worked for ITV? Let us know in those comments below.
What was it like inside? Tough.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.